everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining your virtual drinking buddy. So on tonight's menu, I'm drinking raspberry blonde. It's a ale with raspberries, not a raspberry ale. And it is made by Noses Brewing Company. Interesting name. I'll leave a link in the description so that you can go and check out their story. And yeah, so this is a beer drop order, and as you can see, it's very pink. So this probably isn't something I would normally get for myself, and that's actually the great thing about having beer drop is that it pushes me out of my comfort zone a little bit so that I can try new things, because, I don't know, I might like this beer. But before we get into that, let's dive into my notes. So it's 6.3% alcohol by volume, so not too shabby, a little on the strong side, but not too overwhelming. Refreshing and lightly tart blonde ale, and it's made with hundreds of pounds of raspberries. I'm assuming that's per kettle, and I don't know how large their brewing kettles are, but it's a lot of raspberries. So I'm assuming that this is going to be a fairly tart beer. And I do want to mention that they're in Broomfield, Colorado. It's like on the north side of Denver, maybe up near Boulder. So if you're in the area and you're looking for it, that's kind of where it is. But I'm sure if you just put Four Noses Brewing into your GPS, it'll take you there. So yeah, let's take another look at that. That's very pink, a lot hazier than what I was expecting. I was thinking it'd probably be like gold with like maybe a little bit of a pinkish tint, but it's very much pink and hazy. But I'm not picking up the raspberries and the smell. I just smell beer, so I better dive right into it. Cheers. Oh, that's surprisingly good. I was expecting a fairly tart beer, but it's actually mildly sweet. It reminds me almost of raspberry sherbet, but not quite as sweet or as strong. But it's like that, where it's, even though it's raspberry, it's not a tart. I've had a couple of beers that have had raspberry in it, and they've been fairly tart, and I dig that. But this isn't one of them. This is, I mean, first and foremost, it's an ale. It's not as sour by any means. I'm going to take another drink. I mean, there's not even really a tart finish. I mean, it's like it says, it is an ale with raspberries. I don't think and even with it being brewed with hundreds of pounds of raspberries, it doesn't take over the flavor. It starts off as probably a golden ale, and then it finishes with a sweet raspberry taste, which honestly I just wasn't expecting. It's pretty tasty beer, and at 6.3% alcohol, it's fairly drinkable. I mean, you're not going to want to pound them down like you're tailgating or something, but it's something that you could have several of throughout the night. Food pairings wise, I don't know. I think this is probably more of a dessert beer if you're so into it, but for me, it's more of a drink alone beer. You know, it's something you have after dinner for me. But it's very tasty. So let's take another look at it again. I just can't get over that color. I was pouring that and I just thought, oh my God, what did I get myself into? But it's actually very good. Not the sweet isn't overwhelming. Some fruited beers are either like super sweet or like super tart, super sour. Like they just have a really strong flavor that kind of mask the beer. Whereas this, like, you get the ale first, and then a little bit of the raspberry to finish off, and it's just a nice balance. It's refreshing. I would probably prefer this beer in like the springtime, like April, May. Excuse me. But I don't know. It's not a terrible beer. You could drink it any time of year. But for me personally, I would prefer to have this sort of beer that time of year. Maybe even into June when it's getting warmer. I'm going to take another drink. Yeah, I mean, it's more of a medium body beer, so I'd want it before it gets too hot. And I prefer a lighter body beer during those hot summer months, so I would want it earlier, maybe even as early as March. I realize that's more of a regional thing, and in some regions, time of year doesn't really matter. There's not a huge temperature variance. In Iowa, there is. And so, like, March, you're like halfway thawed out. April, you're thawed out, but it's still cold. By May, you're warmed up, but you're not necessarily sweating every day. So I guess that's where I'm going with that, is I would want it where it's still a little cool. We're approaching warm just because of the body of the beer, and with the nice, refreshing, light, sweet fruit flavor. But again, you can drink it whenever you'd like. I did get this from Beer Drop. For Noses Brewing Company, Raspberry Blonde. So yeah, you can get on Beer Drop. I'll leave a link, and you can get $10 off your first order. I'll get a $10 referral fee. Or if you're in their distribution area, which would be Colorado, look for it in stores or go to the brewery in Broomfield, which is in the Denver area on the north side of Denver. And that's really all I got. So check this out. I was pleasantly surprised. If it sounds like something you'd want to drink, please check it out. And until next time, this is the Malted Gentleman reminding you, you only have one liver, so use it wisely.